So today, RISE, in partnership with other organizations, NIA, CNA, are hosting a conference looking at how the erasure and omission of Native people is undermining well-being, policies, other facets of Native people's lives.
Indigenous peoples are rising to protect our rights to data sovereignty. No longer will data be used against us. Instead, we will champion research by Indigenous people for Indigenous people.
So the conference is designed with 4 tracks. One of the tracks examines bias in K-12 education and really looks specifically at, what are we learning, what are we teaching, how are we teaching, and how is that good or not so good for Native children. The second track looks at violence more generally in Indian country. So violence against women and children, violence through climate justice issues where our cultures are being impacted by changes in the surrounding environment. And then the third track looks at omission or erasure more generally. And the fourth track is a youth track. And the youth track includes, they can go to all of these sessions, but there are also sessions just for them. For a long time, data has been weaponized against Native people, and one of the things we've been doing at RISE is trying to create data that helps Native people. Research that is conducted by Native people, for Native people, where we're really trying to get the data that we need to serve the issues and meet the needs of Indigenous people, to really uplift Indigenous voices, experiences, so that we're working towards a future that is emblematic of what we want it to be and not what other people want from us.
This is critical for us to understand the data and how the data tells our stories, because we're, as Indian people, very good at storytelling, but what the data does is it helps us scientifically prove that our experiences are real and that they're happening. And that is what lawmakers, legislatures, the Senate, Congress people, that's the information that they look at when they look at funding us or are creating policies or laws to protect us or to help us grow in an area where we need to grow. And so all of this is really, really important for us to understand how the data can help us move everything we need for Indian country.
So all too often when we go to school board rooms or to legal settings, whether it be like a court to support an individual tribal member or something larger at the state legislative level or at the federal government, if we don't have the data to back up our point, often we're dismissed. And so the goal of RISE and our partnership with these other organizations is to find out what the data needs are and to meet them.
The other issue that we're going to look at is MMIWG. Right? I talked about dehumanization. This has been a huge problem in this country. What is driving it?
Dr. Freiberg opened up the first Indigenous research center in our country. And what's remarkable about that is she's a Tulalip tribal member, and we should be very proud of the work that she's done. She has built a cohort of many different tribal women and men across this nation who come together as social psychologists, and they do surveys and gather information and create data for all of us. And so it's Indian people doing the work through an Indian lens, which we've never had before. And it's critical to help us move Indian country forward. And this conference is the first conference. She has over 170 attendees, which is absolutely wonderful. And it's for educators, it's for tribal leaders, it's for tribal community members, it's for anybody who can use data to help move their work forward. And so her first conference is here at Tulalip in her hometown, and the Tulalip Tribes was one of her largest sponsors because we believe in this work, we support this work, and we want to see this work grow.